Hi, I am M. Jagadish, Associate Professor in CSC Department. In this session, we discuss about functions in C++. Now, basically, you know what actually function means. The functions are acting as basic building blocks of programs. Similarly, here also, in C++ also, the functions will act as the basic building blocks of C++ programs. Basically, first of all, we must know what actually meant for functions, why we have to use the functions, in which manner we have to use the functions in the programs. We know what actually program means. Program is nothing but set of instructions to complete a particular task. And if the task is small, within a small set of instructions, we complete that particular task by writing a program. Assume if the task is use one and it is requires a multiple number of statements to complete that task. In another way, assume the program consists of totally 500 lines of instructions, which will leads to complexity to solve the problem and to understand the problem also. In order to understand easily, in order to solve the problem easily, then that entire program divides into the blocks, and we can call those blocks are nothing but functions here. The entire program is divided into the block. Each and every block is meant to perform a particular task, and we can call that block is nothing but a function here. So function is nothing but set of statements or set of instructions to perform a particular task. So for this purpose, we are dividing the entire program into functions, and we just go to use the functions. Whenever the function is required, we simply call that particular function, and in order to execute that particular one, the function will perform a particular task. So likewise, we are going to make use of the functions in the programs. Now, how we just go to use the functions in the program? In order to use the functions in the program, first of all, we must declare a function before using the function. And then later you define the function. In which manner you declare the variable before using that variable. Similarly, here also, before defining a function, you must declare that particular function. So the function declaration will consist like time indicates return type, the function return type, and the function return type may be int, float, char. Based on the requirement, we specify the type. And then name of the function, it is the user defined name. You can specify any name to a function like add, subtraction, multiplication, or else division, or else towers of honey. Whatever the word you want to specify, you specify that particular word as the name of the function. Then argument list. So based on the requirements, based on the problem, you can specify the number of argument list with the data types. Then semicolon. At the end of the statement, you have to specify the semicolon, which indicates this is nothing but function declaration. How can you specify the variable declaration? Similarly, you have to specify the function declaration. Then come to the next one. When you just go to define a function, then definitely you must also specify the syntax of the function definition. Then it follows like this. First type, return type. The return type is nothing but a data type of the function. What type of data or what type of value that the function will returns, you specify that particular return type here. It may be a int, float, or char. Then name of the function. Name of the function is nothing but user defined function. So you can specify any user defined function to this function. Then argument list. Based on the problem, you can specify the number of arguments and the type of the arguments. Then open brace, which indicates the beginning of the function. Here, in this particular one body of the function, you can specify the set of statements which are required to perform a particular task regards to this function. Then close brace, which indicates the end of the function. So likewise, you declare and define the function. Then come to the next one, that is nothing but here. When we just go to work with the functions, we just go to concentrate on one more thing, that is nothing but parameter passing. So in which manner you can pass the parameters to the functions. So here in this particular one C++, there are different ways to pass the parameters to a function. And those different ways are nothing but first one is passing arguments to a function. This is the first one, which is a very general one. Then come to the next one, passing default arguments to a function. And the next is nothing much passing constant arguments to a function. So these are nothing but the different ways to pass the parameters to a function. Come to the first one, that is nothing but passing arguments to a function. And this is a very common to pass the arguments to a function. You can pass the values to the function. Now look at this here. At the beginning, you specify the header file as include iostream. Then using namespace std. Then function definition void function, that is a function name here is nothing but fun, and parameters are nothing but arguments are nothing but int a comma int b. Then open brace, which indicates this is the beginning of the function. In this function, we just go to calculate the sum of two values. So int c is equal to a plus b. This is a statement which is used to perform the addition of two values which are stored in the variables a and b. The next statement is cout result. Result will be appeared on the output screen. And then c. Here it just go to display the value of c. Whatever the value it is there, then that value will be displayed. Then close brace, which indicates the end of the function. Come to the next one, main function definition, int main. Then open brace, which indicates the beginning of the main function. Then int a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20. This is a variable declaration and initialization. Here I am assigning a value 10 to a and also value 20 to b. Then come to the next statement, fun of a comma b. It is a function call, so it executes this function. So whatever the values that are there in a and b, that a value 10 is assigned to this particular a value, and b value 20 is assigned to this particular b value. Then it starts the execution of this function. Open brace, starts the execution. Int c is equal to a plus b. A value is 10, b value is 20. So 10 plus 20 is 30, and that result is stored in c. So this particular result will be stored in c variable. Then next statement, cout result. Result will be appeared on the output screen. Then c value is 30, so it prints 30. So likewise, you can pass the arguments to a function in this fashion in order to perform a particular task. Then in C++, we have an additional feature that is nothing but default arguments. C++ allows to call a function without specifying all its arguments. In some cases, if you want to call a function, but you are unable to, or else you forgot to specify the arguments to a function, then the function will execute successfully by making use of a concept that is nothing but a default arguments. Without specifying its arguments also, then the function will execute. You can call a function. We can call that particular one is nothing but default arguments. In such a cases, when you are not specifying any arguments to a function, then the default value or a default parameter of that function is going to work. So in order to work also, there must be a matching argument to the function call. Whatever you specified in the default arguments, and that particular default argument value must and should match to the function call. If it is not matched, then that function will not execute. Now, how the default values are specified when the function is declared means, look at this particular prototype. Now first, return type. Return type here is nothing much data type, that is float here. Then amount is nothing much name of the function here. Then int data type, principal is the argument. Int period, int is the data type and period is the argument. Float is the data type, rate is the argument. And here for this argument, we are assigning a default value that is nothing but 0.15 to the rate. So whenever I just go to call this amount function, I may skip provide a value to that particular third argument rate. Even though if I not specified a value to the rate, then this default argument value will works. Look at this particular one. Now I just go to call a function amount by specifying the two arguments 5000, 7. But actually this amount consists of three arguments: principal, period, and then rate. But I didn't specify the third argument. Even though if I didn't specify the third argument, then this default argument 0.15 will stores in rate, or 0.15 will assigns to rate. and 7 is assigned to periods, and 5,000 will be assigned to principal. And remember one more thing, when you are going to work with the default arguments, the assignment of values can be done from right to left, not left to right. You can assign the values from right to left. That indicates you can assign the value from this side, right side to left side. Now look at this. Now look at this particular function, add function. Here, I just go to assign the values as a default values to these arguments j and k. Now, first of all, I just go to specify int k is equal to 10. The value 10 will be assigned to k. And then I am assigning value 5 to z. Then int I. So this is illegal. And come to the next statement here. I am assigning a value 5 to I, and I didn't assign any value to z. If I didn't assign any value to the rightmost arguments, then it is illegal. If you want to assign a default value, first of all, you have to assign the default value to the rightmost parameter. After then only you can assign the value to the next parameter. Now take one more case here also. Int I is equal to 0, int z, int k is equal to 0. Here you assign a value to the rightmost parameter. Then after that you didn't assign. Then again you assign one more value to the leftmost parameter. If you do like this, then it is also illegal. You cannot skip of assigning a value in between. If you want to assign all the values, you can assign all the values from right to left. And look at this one more. Now in this particular one, you assign all the values to all the arguments in the function. So int I is equal to 2, int j is equal to 5, int k is equal to 10. This is illegal. So in this manner, you can assign the values to default arguments. Then look at this particular program. We'll go to execute the program. Ash include IOString using namespace std. Then here I am declaring a function void display char is equal to asterisk int is equal to 3. Here I just go to assign the asterisk value to the first parameter, and that too I specify the data type is char. And then I just go to assign the 3 value to the next parameter, and that too I specify the next argument or the next parameter is integer data type. Then semicolon. The next int main open brace int count is equal to 5. Again in this I declare one more variable count, and I just go to assign the value 5 to the count. Then cout no arguments passed, which will be appeared on the output screen. Then display. I am calling the display function. If I call the display function without any parameters, the function definition with these default arguments will execute. Then next cout first argument passed. Now again display ash. Here in this particular one, display ash, I simply pass only one parameter ash. So when I pass ash as a parameter, this value will be overrides, and ash will consider this particular parameter, and 3 will be assigned as usual. Then next, both arguments passed. Now I am passing 2 arguments, $count. $count that indicates the old values will be overridden by the new values. Now this asterisk value is replaced with $, and the value 3 will be replaced with the count value. The count value which I specified here is nothing but 5. So the count value is 5. Here 3 will be replaced with 5. So likewise, I just go to execute the display function for 3 times. One is nothing much with the default arguments asterisk and 3, and one more is with the ash value by passing the parameter ash value in the place of asterisk, and the next third one is by passing the 2 parameters $ and count value. So what actually the function definition means, look at this particular one. I just go to define a function display by specifying the 2 parameters cat c int count. Now for I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to count I plus plus. Here the count value for the first time count value is the default value, that is nothing but the 3. So now I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 3. The condition becomes true, so it executes C. The C that indicates here I didn't pass any value for the first function, so that the C value is nothing but asterisk. So the asterisk is going to print 3 times. Why? Because means this count will works up to 3 times. I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to count. The next, that is nothing much. If at all, if I just go to pass the hash value, when it is going to execute the second function, in the place of C, it stores the hash value. And I didn't pass any value to the count, so it considers the default value is 3. So again, this loop executes 3 times, but this time it prints the hash value. Then come to the third function call. In the third function call, in the place of C, I just go to specify dollar. In the place of count, I just go to specify the value 5. That indicates here this loop will execute 5 times. Why? Because means the count value is 5. Then what it is going to print means it is going to print the C value. The C value here is nothing but $. It indicates here the dollar value prints 5 times. This is the way how we just go to work with default arguments. Now come to the next one, constant arguments. C++ also provides the one more feature, that is nothing but constant arguments. You can make one particular parameter or 2 parameters or all the parameters in the function declaration as constant by making use of const keywords. By making use of const keyword, you can make one particular value or all the parameter values as a constant. Now look at this function, void max, const float x, comma, const float y, comma, const float z. Here I just go to specify the 3 variables x, y, z, and that too I specify the data type as the floats. So x value is floats, y value is floats, and z value is also floats. And at the same time, here I just go to make use of one more thing, that is nothing much const keywords. When I make a const keyword to all these parameters, that indicates here x value, y value, and z values will be the constants, which will never change. Now come to this one, hash include IO stream using namespace std. Then here I just go to make use of a const keywords, void function const v is equal to 0. I am making the v value or the v variable as a constant variable, and that too I am allocating a value 0. That indicates the v value will be 0, which will not be modified. Even if you are trying to modify the value, then it generates the error. It will not execute, it generates the error. Once you make one particular argument or parameter is constant, then you cannot try to modify that particular constant value. So it will generate, this program will generate the error. In x is equal to 10, cout x value will be appeared on the output screen. So function x means it is a function call. It is going to function call. It is going to call a function with x value that is nothing but 10. So it comes to this one. Here we just go to specify constant v is equal to 0. So 0 value will be assigned to v. And in this function definition, you are trying to modify the value of v, which is a constant. So if you try to modify the value of v, then it generates the error. It will not execute. So likewise, you can use the constant arguments. Once you declare one value as a constant, then you cannot try to change. Then come to the another feature of C++ in functions, that is nothing but inline functions. So here, inline function that indicates a function which is defined in a single line. A function which will define in a single line, you can call that particular function is nothing but inline function. And you can define the inline function with a keyword that is nothing but inline before function's return type. Before function's return type, you simply specify the inline keywords which indicates that the following function is the inline function. When you specify this inline keyword to a function, then the compiler is going to specify that it is going to place the copy of the function's code in the place of function call or in the place of function declaration. So it simply specifies the copy of the function. So how it is going to work means we'll discuss with an example program. We'll look at this here. I just go to specify include IO stream using stdscope cout, using stdscope cin, using stdscope ndll, and then this is the inline function definition. Inline keyword we have to specify use, which indicate that this function is the inline function and the return type is a double. Then I just go to specify const double s, and here I just go to specify return s into s into s. I just go to calculate the cube value. Then int main double set int k is equal to 1, k less than 4. That indicates here I just go to execute this loop for 3 times. K is equal to 1, k is equal to 2, k is equal to 3. When k is equal to 4, 4 less than 4, the condition becomes false. So it executes 3 times. For every time, it is asking enter the side length of your cube. So through scene statement, we store some value to the sides. We assign some value to the sides. Then the next statement is your value of the cube with side, which will be appeared on the output screen. Side value will be appeared is cube of sides. This is the function call. So it replaces with this function code. Return s into s into s. If your value is if your value is 2 at the first time, 2 into 2 into 2, that is nothing much, 8 will be appeared. So likewise, based on the value what you are providing as the input, that value will be appeared on the output screen. The cube value will be appeared on the output screen. The second time, if you provide the value is 3, 3 into 3 into 3, that is 27. Likewise, it is going to display the value. This loop executes up to 3 times. Now, this inline function does not work for the following situations. In some situations, the inline function will not work. What are those situations means? So the functions returning values, and for functions returning values and having loop or switch or go to statements. If your function consists these things, then this inline functions will not work. Similarly, for the functions that do not return a value, so if the function is not returning any value, so for that also the inline functions will not work. Similarly, if your functions are having static variables, then the inline function will not work for static variables. Similarly, the inline functions, if at all if recursive is there for the inline functions, then that inline function will not work for the recursives. And look at this. Come to the next one. That is nothing much recursive functions. Now we just going to discuss about the recursive functions. Recursive function means which is nothing but calling a function itself. Basically, in order to execute a set of statements repeatedly, we have two approaches. One is nothing but the loops, and one more is nothing but the recursion. See, loops we already know. A set of statements will execute repeatedly. So to specify that, in order to execute a set of statements repeatedly, we can use loops. And similarly, if you want to execute a process repeatedly or to execute a set of statements repeatedly, you can also use the recursion, which is specify that function can call itself. Basically, these recursive functions are very useful when you go to evaluate certain type of mathematical functions. In order to solve the complex mathematical functions, you can use these recursive functions. And also, these recursive functions are also useful in creating and accessing dynamic data structures. If you want to create a dynamic data structures like linked list or binary trees, if you want to access a dynamic data structures, then you can use these recursive functions. Then how to use these recursive functions means, now let's look at the example. Now you want to find the factorial of a particular value by using of recursion. Assume now here I just go to calculate the value factorial 3. So now the formula is 3 into factor, that is n into factorial of n minus 1. That is the formula. The n value here is nothing but 3. So 3 into factorial of n minus 1. N minus 1 means 3 minus 1. That is 2. Again, it is a function here, factorial of 2. So again, it is calling the same function, factorial. But now the parameter is 2. The n value is 2. So n into means 2 into n minus 1. N minus 1 means 2 minus 1, 1. Again, factorial 1 is a value. So again, it comes to this one, factorial 1. So here again, it is a function call. But now the value is 1. N value is 1. So 1 into n into factorial of n minus 1. 1 into factorial of 1 minus 1, that is 0. Factorial 0 value is 1. Now we replace the factorial 0 value here, 1. So 1 into 1, 1. That indicates 1 is the value of factorial 1. Again, in the place of factorial 1, you replace the 1 here. So 2 into 1, 2. 2 is the value of factorial of 2. Again, in the place of factorial 2, you replace the value 2. 3 into 2, 6. So totally factorial 3 value is 6. So this is the way how we just go to calculate the factorial value by using recursion. Now look at this, we elaborate. So n into factorial of n minus 1, 3 into factorial of 3 minus 1, 2. Again factorial 2 value. 2 into factorial of n minus 1, 2 minus 1, that is 1. Again, factorial 1 is the function call. So again, factorial 1 value. So n into, that is now n value is 1, 1 into factorial of n minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0, 1 minus 1, 0. So factorial 0 value is 1. So 1 into 1, 1. Again, it evaluates 2 into 1, 2. Again, it evaluates 3 into 2, 6. So totally 6 is the value of factorial 3. So this is the way how we just go to work with factorial function in order to calculate the factorial value of recursive function in order to calculate the factorial value. Now let's look at the example program. First, include IOStream, int factorial, int main, open brace, then int n, results, cout, enter a non-integer number, then through scene statements, I provide some value, then result is equal to factorial of n, whatever the n value I specified here, that when n value will passed as the arguments, it is a function call. So it just go to specify a function call. Assume now the n value is 4. So here n value is 4. I provided the input value is 4. So n value is 4. If n greater than 1, that is 4 greater than 1, true. So return n into factorial of n minus 1. 4 into factorial of 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 means 3. Again, it is a function call. So again, it executes the same statements. But now this time, n value is 3. So now again, n is greater than 1. 3 is greater than 1. True. So again, n into factorial of n minus 1. That is n value is 3. So 3 into factorial of n minus 1. So 3 minus 1, 2. Factorial of 2. Again, it is a function call. So now again, it executes the same statement. But now the n value is 2. So 2 greater than 1. True. Again, n into means 2 into factorial of n minus 1. 2 minus 1, 1. So again, factorial 1, it is a function call. Now again, it goes to this one. Same again, n greater than 1. That is 1 greater than 1, false. So it executes else part, return 1. So it executes this one value. So it just go to calculate 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. The factorial of one value is nothing but 1. So 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. It is nothing but totally the output value is 24. So this is the way how we just go to work with the factorial function, recursive function in order to find or calculate the factorial value. It simply displays the factorial value of particular n. In the place of result, it displays the value 24. Now, let's look at one more. That is nothing but pointers to function. Here we just go to discuss about pointers to a function. Here, when we just go to discuss about pointers to a function, we simply recall that in which way we can pass the values to arguments. How the functions are going to invoke with arguments. The functions are invoked with arguments in two ways. One is call by value and one more is call by reference. Call by value means we are going to copy the original values to the formal parameters. The original values means we can call these are nothing but actual parameters. So the actual values are copied into formal values. When we make a copy, then it creates its own copy, and whatever the modifications that are done to the formal pattern parameters that won't affect to the actual parameters. The actual parameters has their own values, so it does not changes. Now look at this particular one. I just go to specify one example program. So include IOStream, swap int comma int. It is a function declaration. Void main int x is equal to 5 comma y is equal to 7. The value 5 will be assigned to x and the value 7 will be assigned to y. Then swap of x comma y. Swap of x comma y means 5 comma 7. Cout xy, that is 5 7, which will be appeared on the output screen. Look at this. Before that one, it executes swap of x comma y. It is a function call, so it comes to this one. Now look at this. The x value is assigned to a, y value is assigned to b. That indicates 5 value is assigned to a and 7 value will be assigned to b. Now int t is equal to a is equal to b is equal to d, which indicates that this is a logic which is used to swap the two values. A value will be assigned to B and B value will be assigned to A. Here cout A B. Now this statement is used to display the values of AB. After printing this particular statement, it displays the output values as 7, 5. When you just go to print cout x comma y, it prints the same value 5, 7. It doesn't change this. Look at this. If you are not specifying this statement, then these values will be done. If you specify these statements, if you are not specifying this statement, then it displays the same value 5, 7. Even though after executing the swap function, which meant to change the values of x and y, it displays the same value. It doesn't displays the swapped values. That is the call by value. This inner side function modifications will not affect the actual parameters. The formal parameter values will not affect to the actual parameters. Come to the next one, that is nothing much call by reference. So call by reference means here we are going to pass a reference of the actual arguments to the formal arguments. It indicates it is not creates a own copy. It is not creating a one copy. Whatever the modifications that you do, then definitely those modifications will reflect to the original data. In the function definition, if you perform any modification, that modification will reflect to the original data. Look at this here. Int num, come to the first one, hash include iostream, void main, and then open brace, then int num comma num2, which I declared the two variables num1 comma num2 as integer. Then I am calling a function int void swap of int ampersand comma int ampersand. Here this is nothing but function prototype, which indicates I just go to specify that I am passing reference address. Then cin num1 comma num2. I just go to specify the num1 values, num2 values. Through cin I am providing the values to num1, num2. Cout before swapping, which will be appeared on the screen before swapping, num1 value, num2 value. Whatever I passed here through cin statement, those values will be appeared. Then swap of num1 comma num2. So here I just go to pass as a reference. So when I just go to pass as a reference, I am passing the address. So when I pass the address, on the other hand, in the function definition, then definitely I just go to use the function reference or a pointer. Now look at this here, I am using a function reference, that is the address I am using. So directly I am going to access the address location. So int temp is equal to A is equal to B is equal to temp. Here I just go to swap the two values. When I just go to swap the two values, A value will be assigned to B and B value will be assigned to A. Why? Because this here I just go to access the address. When I just go to access the address, directly I am going to perform the modifications on those memory locations. When I perform the modifications on those memory locations, then those two values will be swapped. When I just go to print the values after swapping, then it prints num1 value and num2 value as a difference. Assume earlier num1 value is 5 and num2 value is 10. When I execute this statement, then num1 value will becomes 10 and num2 value will becomes 5. So then successfully the values are swapped. So if I use the reference address operator, that indicates I am accessing the memory locations. I am accessing the memory locations of A and B. So which will modifies the values directly in those memory locations. It swaps the value and it stores the latest values of A and B. This is the way how we just go to work with references. In the place of ampersand, you can also use pointers, which specifies pointers to a function. You can also use the pointers. Ampersand references the address, whereas pointers references the value in that address. So this is the way how we just go to work with references or the pointers. Thank you.